Ricky Tang here. Today you find me on a Kawasaki Z900RS in black. You wait till you see it. It looks bloody lovely. So this won't be your usual kind of ride, not for me, because this bike's actually only got 2 miles on the clock currently. It's a brand spanker. So basically I'm just doing the first bit of running in, pretty much. But when you look at it, you'll understand why I was happy to get on the bike and go for a ride. But I can give you the first impressions while I go and go and get some fuel. And my first impressions are, well, there's 2 impressions and they're both involving the seat. A, it's quite high. The seat height I think is 835mm. And I do feel kind of perched on top of the bike a fair bit. Now there is a lower seat height option which is 820mm. And if I were to buy this bike, I'd definitely go for the lower seat height. I want to feel a little bit lower down, a little bit more in the bike than I am currently. The second point, which might get affected by the lower seat height option, is that it's really well padded, this seat. Feels like there's quite a lot of foam or whatever they use nowadays in there in motorbike seats, and it feels very comfortable so far. I've done a mile, probably a bit less, but feels quite squishy. But I don't feel like I'm hitting anything hard, you know, as part of the seat pan, for example. So they're the first 2 bits regarding how I'm sitting on the bike. The next bit is how light it feels. It feels absolutely delightful. And I've not even thrown it around any bends yet or anything, but feels a bit like I'm just throwing around a 400. Okay, so we're back. I've got some fuel in now. First little test, what's it like over the speed hump? Oh, that took the speed hump well. There was no harshness at all in how it dealt with that. The front forks, I can't remember the size off the top of my head. I think 41mm upside down forks at the front. They do have compression, rebound and preload adjustment. So full complement of adjusters at the front. The back monoshock, preload and rebound, I don't believe it's got compression. But like I said, it handled that little speed hump nicely. So that gives me hope that the suspension is actually of a decent quality. So yes, this bike, brand spanker, has now got 4 miles on the clock. So I can't take any liberties, literally cannot take the mickey. We're talking, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 RPM or so max. Although I cannot really then sample the performance or the higher end performance, I can get a feel for the handling. And just throwing around the roundabout then, there's something really, there's a real light touch about the handling. It just feels easy to flick about. Now in terms of electronics, this bike is pretty bog basic, even though it's a 900RS model. There is traction control, off, 1 and 2, I think they are the options. And that's it. No rider modes. Nothing else that's easily adjustable. No cruise control. So pretty basic biking for the 21st century. I can get the balls of my feet down comfortably. I can't quite get both heels down comfortably with my 32-inch inside leg. Doesn't it sound nice? I think they've done a number on the airbox. Give it good induction noise. Probably sounds louder to me than it does to the people I pass. So yeah, naked style, retro style, big bike. I'll call it big bike, 948cc. That's not a middleweight, unless your name's Ducati, where bikes that are nearly a litre in engine size are called middleweights. 111 PS, so what, 109 brake horsepower or something. So not in a high state of tune, but does feel somewhat torquey. 98.5 Newton meters of torque. Unfortunately, I can't remember the revs off the top of my head. So my thoughts on the riding position. There, it's upright, as you probably imagine. Yes, very much a kind of up and down riding position. Your legs are almost straight down, but not quite. Slightly rear set, but really not a lot. Your back's pretty much vertical, just a slight lean forward. So yeah, riding position is nice and comfortable. You've got a nice upright view of things. You're not bent over, and because of the seat height, the advantage is you can see quite far down the road. Now, being a naked bike, I'm being subjected to wind blast, but doesn't feel too turbulent. Please don't wash your windscreen. It's the kind of day where locals come blinking out into the light. First thing they do is wash their windscreens. When I was riding at slow speeds earlier, the bike felt nice and compliant over the speed humps and over a couple of little potholes and rubbishy bits in the road. At these higher speeds, oh, this road's lovely. At these higher speeds, feels a bit firmer now. I think it does feel quite taut, but not uncomfortably so. Throttle mapping, so far I've noticed a couple of hints of snatch. Who were misses? But overall so far I think the throttle's behaving well. I was speaking to a chap outside Fraser's who actually turned up on I guess would be a 2019 model Z900RS. And basically said after a lifetime of riding Guzzes and BMWs, decided that he was recently turned 70, wanted to ride something different, try something different. Got on one of these. He said within 10 miles he knew he wanted one. Actually, did he say 10 miles or 10 minutes? I think he said 10 minutes. So it gives me the impression, this bike, that it's a great short distance bike. Commuting, darting around town. Yes, I know it's a 950. But unfortunately I've got a thing for riding or enjoying big engine bikes in urban environments. I don't know what it is. I just like easily accessible power and a good sound and a good noise. Hi there, here we are then, Kawasaki Z900RS. Isn't that a looker? Don't know if you're in focus. Let's get me out of focus and get the bike into focus. That is a good looking machine. Let's give you a proper look, shall we? So I mentioned 948cc, liquid cooled inline 4. Now, when I first saw this bike in the flesh, there is something that kind of knocked me a little bit. Hopefully I won't destroy this bike for you, but it's the size of the engine. If you go back to the original Z900, from 1973, I think, something like that. It had an air-cooled engine, big air-cooled, brutish-looking engine. And I just felt for this bike, this water-cooled mill just looks a little small in the frame, in the chassis. But I'm getting used to it. So if we put the engine aside a little bit and just look at the general appearance of the bike, I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Especially in black. I think this, for me, that's the best colour scheme. I like my black bikes. I've had a few over the years. That looks absolutely spot on. Yes, the number plate hangs out a bit. You might struggle, maybe. I suppose you could get a tail tidy that maybe lets you get rid of this bit in the mud guard. Perhaps, but would you want to? That means getting crap flung up over your back from the back tyre. Doesn't look too bad. Looks traditional, I suppose. Now, what I like is on this bike is the attention to detail. Look at that front mudguard. That's a hell of a bracket on that front mudguard. Quite nice looking. I like the attention to detail in the light. I'll turn the lights on shortly. Everything just looks well finished. Can't see any loose cables or unsheathed wires kind of hanging around on this bike. So 111 PS at 8,500 RPM. It's lower than I thought it would be actually. So that's good. You can kind of tell this bike's tuned for real world performance rather than top speed. And that actually, the torque actually bears out as well. For an inline 4-cylinder, having maximum torque at 6,500 RPM is relatively low. So it tells me once you get past like 8,000, 9,000 RPM, if it lets you rev that high, I'm sure it will, there won't be much point revving any higher. The red line begins at 10. So I don't know when the limiter cuts in. I won't be finding that out today. But I absolutely adore the looks of this bike. And so far, the riding experience is impressive as well. Wet weight 215 kilos, that's curb mass, as they say in the brochure. So not exactly a flyweight, but not very heavy either, really. It belies that weight. It does feel quite light when you're riding it. It feels quite flickable. And look at that seat. So I wonder what the lower seat would actually look like, but I actually quite like the quality here. Oh, that's a bit of a cheat. It looks like stitching here, but it's just in the moulding of the seat cover. Got stitching around the outside though, so there's some style to it. So the front forks, let's get around here in the better light. 41mm upside down forks, adjustable for compression, rebound and preload. Oh yeah, I just see I think compression down there, just there. I think that's our compression, and we have the adjusters on both forks. Compression, I can't see compression on this side, so compression might be just adjustable on one fork possibly. Can't see another adjuster down there, but you've got it, so it's better than not having it at the end of the day. Shock, yeah, rebound and preload only. You've got one of these adjusters there for a kind of a C-spanner. No easily adjustable big knob, unfortunately, as far as I can see. And we got the rebound there, which is easy to get hold of, easy to access. Brakes, we have 300mm discs, 4-piston radial monoblocks. So you've got some good kit there as far as braking's concerned. Single piston caliper at the back, 250mm disc. You can see the old ABS ring there down by the axle. So 6 gears, chain drive, as you would imagine. Okay, let's get the lights on. In this light, you're not going to see much of the dash, unfortunately. It's a white on black LCD. It's flickering a little bit. There's not much to see here. You've got KRTC, which is traction control at the top. That's at 2. Gear indicator, which is nice. Obviously, big speedo, big tacho. Fuel and temperature. That's about it. Have we not got a fuel? Oh yeah. Have we not got a fuel gauge? Yeah, I just said there was a fuel gauge, you bellend. This light, I think that might flash when you're getting near top end revs, possibly. It does flash for the immobilizer as well. Let's have a look here. And high beam. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, traditional high beam there. It's pretty darn bright. Let's have a look at the backlight here. Lovely classic style. There might even be a incandescent bulb possibly rather than LED. Looks a bit oldie worldy. Let's have a look. I think it's an LED actually. Right. So I think we can all agree this is a good looking bike. Thanks for agreeing. I've got to say, it's a bit strange looking at a conventional speedo again and not looking at an LCD readout or digital readout of my speed. A couple of times I've looked down, it's like, where's my speed? Oh yeah, over there, isn't it, on that dial? In terms of vibration, well, I suppose it's too early to tell. I can't rev the bike up. I can feel a tingle in the handlebars, but I'm not going to be able to get the revs any higher to really tell if it gets any worse. But nothing too uncomfortable so far in terms of vibration. It feels quite smooth overall actually. Picks up speed nicely and smoothly. It feels good. It feels fun. Handlebar controls. Well, as you've seen already, there's not very many. You've got a hazard flash in the bottom left-hand corner. You've got a horn. Not much of a horn. Indicators. You got your selector for your traction control and your trip meter. And a nice old conventional high and low beam switch. The switches are of good quality. On the right, kill switch, run switch and starter. That's all you got. The clutch is nice and light. Got no trouble with the clutch. The gearbox, well, when you go up and down the gears, there is a definite click midway through the stroke as you're changing gears up and down, so that feels quite positive. You can definitely tell that you're changing gear. At first I thought maybe I wasn't putting in the clutch enough and it was kind of, the clutch was dragging a little bit, but it's just I think the sensation of the gear lever and the gear action. Gotta admit, it's not very often I stay behind a car for any stretch of road. It was quite relaxing. I think I should do it more often. I probably won't though. But it is a different scene. It's a different scene, dude. Clutch biting point, clutch release, perfectly fine. No complaints. Both brake and clutch lever are span adjustable. It does feel like it's ready to be bossed about in the bends a little bit. That you can kind of attack the bends, be a bit aggressive. I think it will handle it just fine. Now it hasn't got that super planted feel of the Z900RS that I rode a few weeks ago, which confused me with regards to how solid it felt in the bends. So not that planted, but still, yeah, it's the road holding looks to be decent so far. Can't go fast enough to find out what the wind blast is like at higher speeds. You know the kind of high speeds I'm talking about. But the A road speeds, absolutely no concerns for me at 170 centimeters and 72 kilos ish, probably 74 now. Been eating a lot of crap recently. No one behind me, no one in front. Let's just do a little bit of slow speed stuff. Wow, that's good. I'm just trickling along, no throttle at all. According to the speed, I'm doing 5 miles per hour. And yeah, feels nicely balanced. So the big question, would I take this bike out on a second date? You damn skippy, I would. Definitely, it's a great bike to ride. I'm enjoying the handling, I'm enjoying the engine. They seem to be a good fit for each other. The riding position is nice. It's nice and upright, and it does going slow really well. And it's been fine going faster as well. I just haven't been able to go, you know, proper fast. It's a good crack, this bike. Really like the styling. I like the instrumentation. I like the controls. Like I said, the only thing really that comes to mind in terms of dislikes is the seat height. And that should be something you can deal with. So overall, she's really impressed me. If she impresses you as well, then by all means get in touch with Fraser's and arrange a test ride. I'll be more than happy to squeeze you in. So thanks for hanging out with me for this slightly different first date. I'll see you again in another video.